This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news right now, an all-out search for a missing toddler in Gardena. I'm David Ono.
I'm Ellen Leba in for Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Let's get right to Bill Thomas live over the scene in Air 7 HD. Bill?
Ella, we're right on top of 150th Street, just off of Western Avenue in the city of Gardena. These are Gardena police officers in the center of your screen. They tell us they are searching for that toddler, last seen in the neighborhood at 4:55 this afternoon. We have plenty of sunlight right now, but with each passing minute, we're going to lose more and more light. So very critical to find this girl as quick as they can. Now let's go to a picture and see what she looks like. This is Stacy Lopez. She's between 2 and 2.5 years old, described as Hispanic, thin, with black hair in a ponytail, last seen with a white shirt. On that white shirt, a pink butterfly, also carrying a Dora the Explorer backpack. If you have any information about Stacy Lopez, you're encouraged very rapidly to make the 911 call or call Inglewood police officers. Back to our live shot. Once again, police dogs, canine units are being brought in to assist in the search for that 2-year-old toddler. As we find out more, we'll bring it to you right away from the helicopter. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Bill, thank you. And tonight, disturbing new revelations about what may have provoked a deadly shooting in Hawthorne that left a mother dead and her 12-year-old son wounded. Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia explains what detectives believe happened in the moments before the attack.
It's a terrifying thought, being killed for a laugh. But that's just what detectives now say may have happened to 44-year-old Denise Berry. Investigators say Berry and her 12-year-old son were driving near Rosecrans and Cornbloom in Hawthorne when they saw something they thought was funny, a man with his feet hanging out of the window of a white Cadillac. The two chuckled and Berry drove away. Minutes later, Berry drove up to a Hawthorne police officer and told him she was afraid someone was following her. As Berry was pulling in front of the police car, a white Cadillac pulled up next to her Mercedes. Detectives say that's when Robert Washington Jr. got out of the car and shot Berry and her son. Berry died at the scene. Her son survived and is in stable condition at a local hospital. Denise Berry lived in this Lawndale neighborhood. Neighbors saying she recently moved away. Roy Alvarez says Berry was quiet. He says he can't imagine why someone would kill her.
That's devastating, you know, that in front of a police officer too. That's not. These people must have really wanted her for some reason. I don't know why, but poor lady. I feel for her family.
This afternoon, friends and cousins of Robert Washington Jr. set up a small memorial of flowers and candles. Worried about their safety, they didn't want us to show their faces. One cousin told me both families are dealing with a lot of pain over what happened.
There were 2 other men in the car with Washington at the time of the shooting. They are in custody. 24-year-old Stanley White has been booked for murder. 19-year-old Brandon White has been booked for conspiracy to commit murder. They remain in custody with their bail set at $1 million each. Reporting from Hawthorne, I'm Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Arson investigators are trying to figure out what sparked a deadly fire that tore through the Wilmington Hotel, forcing some people to jump for their lives. Flames broke out around 3:15 this morning. Firefighters arrived just minutes later to find people inside the 2-story building leaping from windows trying to escape. One man says his smoke detector woke him up. Having lost his right arm to cancer, he struggled to save himself.
I opened the door, flames just came in, just rushed into my room, so I was able to close the door and go out the window, and this is all I got.
Out of the 29 people who lived there, more than half were hurt. One man was killed. Authorities say the cause of this fire is suspicious, and we'll have the very latest on the investigation coming up at 7:30.
Dozens of people are dead after a terror rampage on a university campus in Kenya. Students at Garissa University were just beginning their day when gunmen from the Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab shot their way past security guards and burst into the dorms. At least 147 people were killed, dozens more injured. Witnesses say the gunmen were separating the Christians from the Muslims and shooting the Christians on the spot. When Kenyan forces fought back, 4 militants set off suicide bombs.
It's such a jumping up and down, running for their lives.
This is a moment for everyone throughout the country to be vigilant as we confront and defeat our enemies.
A $220,000 reward is being offered for Mohammed Mohamud. He's the alleged mastermind of the attack.
After a week of contentious negotiations in Switzerland, a framework deal is now in place on Iran's nuclear program, but more work still needs to be done. And Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride explains what this could mean for Iran and the world.
After weeks of intense round-the-clock negotiations, the U.S., Iran, and 5 other world powers reached a deal to limit Iran's nuclear program. President Obama, speaking at the White House, says the initial accord is a major step toward global peace.
This framework would cut off every pathway that Iran could take to develop a nuclear weapon. Iran will face strict limitations on its program, and Iran has also agreed to the most robust and intrusive inspections and transparency regime ever negotiated for any nuclear program in history.
The details of the agreement will be hammered out in the months ahead, but the plan calls for Iran to give up 2/3 of its centrifuges used to make nuclear weapons, cease enriching uranium, and agree to strict oversight by international inspectors for 20 years. In return, the U.S., the United Nations, and the European Union will roll back economic sanctions once Iran is in compliance.
If Iran cheats, the world will know it. If we see something suspicious, we will inspect it. Iran's past efforts to weaponize its program will be addressed. With this deal, Iran will face more inspections than any other country in the world.
Republican leaders in Congress have been critical of the negotiations and are skeptical of the agreement. President Obama says he will fully brief Congress on the deal he says is based on unprecedented verification, not trust. Iran's foreign minister calls the agreed-upon restrictions a win-win outcome.
What I hope is that through courageous implementation of this, some of that mistrust could be remedied, but that is for us all to wait and see.
President Obama called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to tell him that the agreement does not diminish the concerns the U.S. has over Iran's threats to Israel. But Netanyahu says that this agreement threatens Israel's survival. Reporting in the newsroom, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
California's water crisis has gone from bad to worse. What can you do to beat the drought? Well, if you want a lush lawn or a long shower, it's going to cost you more than ever before. Governor Jerry Brown has issued a mandatory water conservation statewide, and that means rate hikes could be on the way as companies hope to motivate Californians to conserve. Governor Brown says simple lifestyle changes can help achieve his mandated 25% reduction in water usage. And if you do have a lawn, there's a way to get it replaced by drought-resistant plants without paying any money. It's all made possible by the rebates being paid by most water utility companies. The company Turf Terminators will tear out your lawn, install drip irrigation, and plant low-maintenance vegetation for little or no out-of-pocket cost to the homeowner. All you have to do is transfer your rebate, which can be up to $3.75 a square foot.
And the drought is also affecting our local wineries. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan reports from Temecula on the challenges winemakers are now facing.
This is all drip irrigation.
Mike Rennie is the owner of Leoness Cellars and the surrounding vineyards. He says the amount of water he uses each year is equivalent to that of about 3,300 homes. It may sound like a lot, but he says since he has close to 550 acres of vineyards, it's a reasonable amount.
This time of year we water probably twice a week.
He says if he were to cut his watering by 25%, not only would the quality of his grapes suffer, but the quantity as well.
Because there's less fruit, it's going to cause us to raise the prices of our product.
Translation, he would sell less wine and make less money. So, as bad as it might sound, he says he might have to ignore the mandated restrictions and just pay the penalty.
You have to give the vines what they need to produce the quality. It's like if you were told to feed your baby 25% less baby food, well, it's going to affect the health of your child.
Either way, people who are here wine tasting today say it's a tough choice. Do you conserve water or watch your profits evaporate?
It's a big decision that every Californian has to face.
The agricultural industry is billions and billions of dollars. If we're not growing our crops in California, then we're going to have to get our crops from China, from Argentina, from Venezuela. And who knows what products are being used and what pesticides and so on are being used there.
Mike Rennie did say that the avocado industry has it even worse than the wine industry because avocados need twice as much water as wine grapes do. In Temecula, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News is committed to helping you beat the drought, and we'd like to hear your ideas, too. Join the circle of eyewitnesses. Tell us what you're doing to save water, or you can share pictures or video when you see water being wasted, and just post with the hashtag ABC7Drought.
It's going to be challenging. In fact, the heat is on, and here's Jonathan Novak.
Yeah, folks, we have had 4 consecutive years now we're into for drought year, and on top of that, for the snowpack in California, 5% of average. The last 30 days, in terms of rain, nobody in California has seen more than 10% of average, and we're dry right now. The live mega Doppler 7000 HD showing that. Now, it's going to be the case, but we do have maybe a glimmer of hope in the extended forecast later on. This is the latest drought report from the U.S. Drought Monitor. The exceptional drought, this maroon color here, that's about 41% of the state. That's as bad as it gets. And we are, in Southern California, included, most of us at least, in that exceptional drought. If we're not, then it's still pretty bad, extreme. So, temperatures, in the meantime, let's talk about that because it's going to be warmer tomorrow. Right now, we're in the 60s for just about everybody here in Southern California. 70, though, in Temecula, 81 Palm Springs, lower 60s in Santa Monica over to Oxnard. We have a warm-up in store. Santa Ana winds are going to be blowing a little bit tomorrow. Details on that and that rain chance that I mentioned coming up in that full 7-day.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We want to get to breaking news right now. Buena Park, you see the OC Fire Department on top of a house trying to put a fire out. Let's go to Bill Thomas in Air 7 HD. Bill?
Yeah, David, the Orange County Fire Authority on the ground, in the property, on the roof as well. This is the 8100 block of Crowley Circle in Buena Park. This looks like a duplex, 2 homes attached with 1 wall. You see the first house here, the van caught fire as well. Looks like the flames have been beaten back, but still smoldering greatly, and a lot of damage on both properties. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Bill. Loved ones and the faithful of Reverend Robert H. Schuler are remembering the charismatic preacher who passed away today. Reverend Schuler died this morning surrounded by family. Schuler built the Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove and started the weekly TV show The Hour of Power. He was diagnosed with esophageal cancer in 2013. Reverend Schuler was 88 years old, and we'll have more on his life and legacy coming up in our next half hour.
And up next here tonight, the wrong way crash head-on into a school bus.
It was caught on camera. Dozens of children were on board. The bus driver with nowhere to go.
Plus, a taxi driver trying to help a fare save some money is attacked with the suspect used as a weapon.
And a wild scene in Riverside, a pellet gun bandit on a rampage, and now police worry the suspect could be targeting people.
Terrifying video of violent wrong-way crash into a school bus. Dramatic dashcam video showing the exact moment of impact. 37 children on board, nowhere to go. And ABC's Cecilia Vega reports on the stunning number of wrong-way crashes in America.
A school bus carrying nearly 40 children collides with an SUV. The SUV barreling the wrong way down this Oklahoma street. Watch again. The driver speeding 20 miles over the speed limit. Several students bruised, but fortunately, no severe injuries. And just last week in Tennessee, a police officer uses his own vehicle to stop a wrong-way driver. Each year, wrong-way crashes kill more than 1,000 people. Often head-on, the accident's usually more deadly than any other kind of crash. And now states are fighting back. From simple lights on signs in Texas to high-tech reflectors in Arizona.
If you see those lights coming at you, is there anything you can do?
Stay out of the fast lane, stay out of the carpool lane, stay in the middle lane. At least it gives you the ability to move to the left or the right.
Advice for all drivers to keep in mind.
You're on the wrong side of the highway.
And avoid steering into trouble.
And police are now praising that bus driver, saying that she immediately stopped the bus when she saw that wrong-way SUV headed her way, and then went and checked to make sure every single child on board was safe. Cecilia Vega, ABC News, New York. Bizarre attack on a San Francisco cab driver, and the whole thing was caught on camera.
Actually, you know, if you're just going to BART, there's a BART station even closer, just straight ahead. Which one? Civic Center. For real? Yeah. Cool. Thank you. That'll save you a couple bucks.
Happened early yesterday morning. The passenger directed the driver to a BART station. When they arrived, he began pummeling the driver with a padlock and tried to rob him.
The passenger was attempting to take the driver's electronics and other type of devices that were in the front.
Suspect ended up taking nothing, instead ran into the BART station and disappeared. This is the second assault on a San Francisco cab driver in a month.
Well, heads up, it's the annual airdrop in Yosemite National Park. Dozens of endangered Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep are being relocated by helicopter to their native habitat in Yosemite and Sequoia National Parks as part of a recovery effort. Thousands once roamed the area, but overhunting and disease pushed them to near extinction last century, with only 100 left in California. 600 exist today, which is 3/4 of the number needed to secure the survival of mountain lions, bobcats, and coyotes.
Making your Easter Sunday plans, there's Jonathan Novak. What can we expect?
Well, it's going to be really nice. Let me tell you. By the way, that's like skydiving. It's like skydiving, right? It's kind of like you're dropping them.
Yeah, kind of.
You guys, have you been skydiving?
No, never will.
Never have.
You a little sheepish about that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like Easter Sunday's going to be a good one, folks.
It's going to be a long summer.
It hurts me
long
as much
summer.
Let's check out and see what happened today. It's out of love that I do that. Just to see that look on David's face. All right. The sun was setting, sunny skies today, and people were down at the beach enjoying the weather. As we go through Sunday, we have a cool down. Ellen was asking about that, and it looks like it will be okay in terms of any rain potential. We actually have that in the forecast, but it's going to hold off. 75 was our high today in downtown Los Angeles. 71's our normal, so again, another mild day above average. We had March, by the way, folks, we had record average temperatures, when you average the temperatures out of March, for just about every location in Southern California except for the Antelope Valley. So it was a hot March, and we head into April with continuing that above normal type of weather pattern. Check that out in Palmdale. We're going to have a full moon here coming up in a couple of days. You can see that right there next to that graphic. 67 in Palmdale with a light breeze, about 10, 12 miles an hour. And we did have the winds kicking up. We're going to have winds tomorrow. They're going to be Santa Anas that are going to warm us up, but nothing terribly strong. High pressure's building in temporarily, just about a day or so, and that's going to bring those northeast winds down the mountain slopes, going to compress that air and warm it up, and we'll have temperatures from 85 to 90 tomorrow. There's that ridge starting to build right now. But off to the west of it is a trough of low pressure, and that's what's going to cool us down for Saturday and into Easter Sunday. So look at the future scan. Here's Friday at 6 p.m. There's that ridge of high pressure, not very strong. We go through Saturday and Sunday, and off on the left of your screen, you see the next change after that. This is Saturday, 10 p.m. That trough of low pressure is moving through the western portion of the country. This is by Monday over the western U.S., and we are in the 60s by Monday and Tuesday, and a rain chance by Tuesday. But it's not significant. Unfortunately, I can only give you about 20% on Tuesday. For tomorrow, of course, it's going to stay dry and sunny. 86 in Los Angeles, 84 Inglewood, 75 up in the Antelope Valley, 86 Beaumont, nearing 90. We'll push some 90-degree temperatures there in Riverside. We're not going to break any records tomorrow, but it'll feel kind of hot. 86 to 88 in Los Angeles and Orange County area. There you go. The weekend, we've got the cool down. In fact, we're going to drop between Friday and Saturday 14 degrees. Easter Sunday is looking nice, dry. Monday and Tuesday, I haven't been able to say 60s for highs in a while for the LA area, but 69 Monday and Tuesday with a chance of rain on Tuesday. Chance of rain in valleys on Tuesday as well, but everybody's going to see just a slim chance, 20%. So for tomorrow, dry, hot, breezy, and the weekend is looking good. You guys are down around 70 by Monday. The beach, fantastic tomorrow, warm and sunny in the 60s from Sunday on with a slim risk of some shower activity on Tuesday and some morning fog. And mountains, you guys are looking cool and breezy tomorrow. Temperatures in the 40s by Sunday. High desert is cooling off as well. So it looks like in about a day and a half or so, 2 days of some warm weather before it cools down starting on Sunday. Sheepish.
All right. Sounds good, Jonathan.
See, that way. It's like that.
A BB gun bandit is leaving a trail of damage and rattled nerves in Riverside. Dozens of dents and broken windows have been reported. Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez shows us it's not just things the shooter's targeting, but people too.
Jama Sanders points to the dent in her SUV. She is just one of many people targeted by a rash of BB and pellet gun shootings Tuesday evening. Something she didn't know until checking into the community Facebook page, What is Going On in Riverside County.
At that time, I only saw 6 different incidents, but now I'm noticing that there's like 25 plus incidents.
Not far from Sanders' Woodcrest home, Donna Zepp was also hit. She sent Eyewitness News these pictures of her damaged back window. Residents say they are concerned and frustrated.
The whole reason we live in Riverside is because we felt like it was safe. So to hear that that's going on, it's a little disheartening.
Whoever shot at Sanders' car didn't hit it just once or twice, but multiple times. So far, they've managed to find 2 of the BBs.
People are getting shot at. They're shooting occupied cars. They're not just shooting empty cars. So, I mean, there's a chance that they're going to injure somebody badly. Property is able to be fixed, but lives aren't.
Shane Jones counts himself lucky. Doctors dug this pellet out of his hand after someone shot at him and a friend.
If it hit me anywhere else, like let's say my stomach or my head, I probably would have died.
Local businesses haven't been immune to the problem either. Carla Adams had the front window of her fitness business shot out twice.
It's just very negative, and I think that it projects out a very negative energy within the community.
The Riverside Police Department says it has taken several police reports. Officers are asking anyone with information to contact them at 951-826-5573. Leticia Juarez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Police warn residents to be on alert after several homes are targeted in the San Fernando Valley community.
Plus, it's all the craze in L.A. now, the new option for Americans ready to travel to Cuba.
And Richard Nixon's Orange County estate, known as the Western White House, goes on sale for the first time in generations. But how much is it selling for?
Ground was broken today for construction of a more than $141 million underpass. Underpass will carry 4 lanes of traffic beneath railroad tracks on the border of Rowland Heights and the City of Industry. Hope is to relieve train-caused traffic delays and noise at the crossings. Underpass on Fairway Drive just north of the 60 freeway is expected to open in 2018.
You now have a few more options if you are planning on visiting Cuba. Starting today, the popular online home rental service Airbnb is allowing American travelers to book lodging there. It's the most significant U.S. business expansion on the island since the policy change between the U.S. and Cuba late last year. Officials with Airbnb say the service has rooms available for rent in more than 1,000 properties across the island, most of them in Havana.
We're updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30, including an update on the search for a missing toddler in Gardena.
Plus, with the new mandatory water restrictions just announced, how local farmers say they're ready to do their part.
And a raging and deadly fire erupts at a local motel, sending a dozen people to the hospital. Why investigators believe it may not have been an accident.
This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news at 7:30, a desperate search for a missing toddler in Gardena. I'm Ellen Leyva in for Colleen Sullivan.
And David Ona, this is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. And authorities are frantically searching for 2-year-old Stacy Lopez, who was last seen just before 5 o'clock this evening. Officers are canvassing the area near Western Avenue and 149th Street looking for any sign of the girl. She's said to be wearing a white shirt with a pink butterfly, and her black hair is in a ponytail. If you have any information about her, you're asked to call the police.
After a week of intense negotiations, a framework deal is now in place on Iran's nuclear program. final breakthrough came after a flurry of overnight sessions between Secretary of State John Kerry and Iran's foreign minister. This is a preliminary agreement to block Iran from developing nuclear weapons while providing relief from international sanctions. U.S. and other world powers negotiating with Iran have until the end of June to work out the final details.
Fire rips through a motel in Wilmington overnight. One man is dead. 15 others were injured in that fire that broke out around 3:15 this morning. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell tells us some guests risked their lives to escape the flames.
You got 2 more jumpers right here.
Fearing for their lives, residents jump out of windows as flames and thick smoke shoot through the 2-story Wilmington hotel around 3 this morning. Several suffering broken bones and other injuries.
I jumped from second story, that one up there.
Some residents escaped after they heard neighbors banging on their doors. Others were awakened by smoke detectors. Paul Gordon, who only has one arm, managed to get out on his own.
All of a sudden I hear smoke detectors going off, and I opened the door. Flames just came and just rushed into my room, so I was able to close the door and go out the window.
Manuel Sanchez helped save a resident's grandchild.
He was asking me if I could catch his granddaughter that he was going to be letting go. And I told him yes, and me and another gentleman caught her as they dropped her from the window.
One man died at the scene. 15 people were transported to hospitals for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. Steve Thrain was banged up after grabbing a cable to scramble down from his second-floor apartment.
I was seeing people go on out head first in the windows, and I was trying to wait. Maybe the ladder will come, but it wasn't coming.
Arson investigators are calling the fast-moving blaze suspicious. Firefighters arrived at the hotel just 3 minutes after getting the call.
For someone to report a fire at 3:13 and us to arrive on scene at 3:16 with that much fire, that's very unusual.
Several residents are being cared for by the Red Cross.
Just watching these people just jumping out of their windows, you know, and talk about useless and hopeless, you know, we couldn't do anything for these people.
29 people were living in the building, and now they'll all have to find new homes. In Wilmington, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Homeowners in Woodland Hills are on alert due to a string of burglaries. The investigation is taking place near Topanga Canyon Boulevard. 7 burglaries happened in a matter of hours yesterday in 2 different neighborhoods. Police believe the suspects knocked on the doors to see if anyone was home, entered the houses from the back, and took off with jewelry and collector coins. None of the victims were home. Officers are now looking for the car caught on surveillance, a silver Acura TL with tinted windows and brown paper plates. And police are looking for a 4th and final suspect in the beating of an elderly victim near the Rose Bowl. Authorities are after Adeline Alvarado. They believe the 19-year-old woman was involved in the assault and robbery of an 87-year-old man last Friday. Authorities say Alvarado and 3 men are seen on surveillance video trying to use the victim's credit card in Pasadena. Those 3 men have already turned themselves into police.
Californians are about to find out what the governor's new water restrictions mean. Due to the severe drought, he has ordered a 25% cutback in overall water use by cities and towns. And while the sweeping drought measures do not include farms, local farmers are still expected to do their part. And Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes reports from Camarillo.
They are scenes that evoke fears of a bone-dry future, spurring California Governor Jerry Brown to mandate a 25% reduction in water usage statewide. Homes and businesses expected to shoulder the cutbacks. But California farmers, the biggest water users in the state, will not face those water restrictions.
That doesn't seem fair, does it?
It's a question many are asking. But in Ventura County, which is blanketed with vast green swaths of farmland, agriculture is something local officials are quick to defend.
In Ventura County, it's huge for us. It's about $2 billion worth of gross receipts to the growers.
Ventura County's Agricultural Commissioner Henry Gonzalez says farmers shouldn't be hit with rising water rates or rationing because they produce food for the entire country. He doesn't dispute that agriculture uses the majority of California's developed water, but according to the Public Policy Institute of California, only represents 2% of California's gross domestic product.
Sure, but how much of the rest of the GDP can you eat?
And on the one hand, you want to say, yeah, if everybody needs to save, they need to save too. On the other hand, you know, there are farmers, they're the backbone of our economy. They bring us our food, and they deserve a lot of respect for that.
I think that might be difficult for the farming industry to go to a tiered type of situation like residents might. That'll trickle down, I guess, no pun intended, back to us.
And trickle down it might, with food prices already on the uptick. Gonzalez says new restrictions
would hit the public even harder.
As there's less water, there'll be less production, and the cost of the food that is produced is going to be greater.
Even though agriculture represents just a sliver of California's economy, Gonzalez says statewide it still generates nearly $40 billion each year. In Camarillo, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Robert Durst was in a New Orleans courtroom today, but the weapons charge hearing will be delayed a week after FBI agents failed to show up to testify about his arrest at a hotel last month. And here in California, the real estate heir is accused of killing Susan Berman back in 2000. The 71-year-old has waived extradition to LA. His lawyers say that they want to get him here to fight that charge. Durst was arrested last month, shortly before the final chapter of the HBO documentary series about him called The Jinx. The show ended with Durst saying in a live microphone that he, quote, killed them all.
Despite its battered condition, investigators looking into the Germanwings crash are hoping the plane's flight data recorder will offer new information. Second black box was found buried on the side of a ravine. Investigators say it's completely blackened like it had burned, but could possibly still be accessed. Officials are hoping the flight data recorder will reveal more about what happened to the plane and what the co-pilot was doing to the controls. Meanwhile, searchers say they have found and identified remains from all 150 people on board.
An encouraging report on jobs. The Labor Department says the number of applications for unemployment benefits fell sharply last week. The Obama administration says it's a sign of a strong job market. Weekly job applications fell by 20,000 to a seasonally adjusted 268,000. Meantime, the government's employment report to be released tomorrow is expected to show that employers added 248,000 jobs in March.
Dozens of employees protested outside of McDonald's in the Westlake District this afternoon, upset over their pay.
What do we want? 15! When do we want it now? What do we want? 15! When do we want it now?
Workers are protesting the small wage increase that the company has offered about 5% of their corporate staff only. Protesters today said they will strike on the 15th, letting McDonald's know that they are worth much more than what the company is offering. McDonald's has been a target of the Fight for $15 campaign to raise the minimum wage. For the right price, you can own a home once dubbed the Western White House when it was owned by President Richard Nixon. The asking price for the San Clemente estate is $75 million. Nixon bought the 5.5-acre spread on a secluded coastal bluff in 1969 and called it La Casa Pacifica. The president said he liked watching surfers during walks on the beach. Nixon sold the home in 1980 when he moved to New York. One of the most captivating ministers to ever go on the airwaves passed away today. From humble beginnings, Reverend Robert H. Schuller created the Hour of Power and built the legendary Crystal Cathedral. Eyewitness News Orange County Bureau Chief Eileen Frere spoke with Schuller's son and grandson about his legacy.
The son and grandson of Reverend Robert Schuller comfort each other. Nearby, a memorial to the 88-year-old megachurch founder grows.
Today was very hard for all of us, and not just our family, but for the millions of people who were touched by my grandfather.
My name is Robert Schuller.
The charismatic pastor started a ministry in 1955 with his late wife Arvella, preaching from a snack bar roof at a drive-in theater. He started broadcasting the Hour of Power in 1970 from a walk-in drive-in church and went on to build the Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove, ministering to millions over 4 decades.
I don't think people know how many blessings he's done for so many of the homeless and people in recovery.
But in 2010, a drop in donations and viewership forced Crystal Cathedral Ministries to file for bankruptcy. It was later sold to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orange. His grandson, Bobby, took over part of the congregation and founded Shepherd's Grove Church. He also took over the Hour of Power broadcast. His family says in 2013, Schuller was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones.
I know in my heart he has come home to be with the Lord.
Reverend Schuller's wife passed away last year after a brief illness. His family says that Schuller will be buried next to her at the former Crystal Cathedral, now known as Christ Cathedral. They're also planning a public memorial outside the church. In Garden Grove, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Up next, it's an extremely rare medical condition, a baby born without a nose. Hear from the mother of little Eli, who says her son is perfect the way he is. So what's next for this little guy?
State trooper ordered to undergo counseling because of what he was doing with Snoop Dogg.
Jonathan Novak here. Hey, today was nice and pleasant. It was dry, mild, but we have a big warm-up in store, plus maybe rain back in that 7-day. Details ahead.
Texas State Trooper has been reprimanded for posing for a photo with rapper Snoop Dogg. Billy Spears was working security at the South by Southwest Festival in Austin when Snoop Dogg asked to take a picture with him. Snoop posted the picture on Instagram with the caption, "Me and my deputy dog." Because the rapper has several convictions for drug possession, the Department of Public Safety and Transportation officials cited Spears. The trooper says he did not know about the rapper's criminal record.
Fascinating story here. An Alabama baby with an extremely rare birth defect has captured the attention and affection of people all over the country. He was born without a nose, and tonight little Eli is finally home after spending a month in the hospital, and health specialist Denise Tador has his incredible story.
The soft breathing sounds are coming from a tube in his throat. This is how baby Eli takes in air. On March 4th, his mom, Brandy McGlathery, was the first in the delivery room to notice something wasn't quite right when they placed her 6-pound, 8-ounce son in her arms.
He was delivered, and the doctor put him on my chest, and as his dad, Troy, was cutting the cord, I kind of pulled him down, pulled him back so I could get a better look at him. And I stood there for a second, and then I said, something's wrong with him. And my doctor said, no, he's perfectly fine. I said, no, he doesn't have a nose.
Her initial excitement shattered with their first embrace. Eli was born without a nose, nasal passage, or sinus cavities. The disorder, called complete congenital arynia, is so rare, experts say there are only 38 known cases reported worldwide. Within hours of his birth, Eli was whisked away to specialists.
He said, Brandy, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how this happened, but you're right. He doesn't have a nose.
Eli's condition has baffled doctors since his mother's ultrasounds and tests showed no sign of an abnormality. He underwent a tracheotomy to help breathing and feeding easier, but there will be several surgeries in his future.
The life that was normal to us before isn't going to be the same anymore. I mean, it has to change in order to fit with him.
For now, Eli's parents are grateful to finally have their son in their arms and at home.
Eli will have to grow past surgery before his nasal passageways can be surgically rebuilt. His family wants to spare him any unnecessary facial surgeries because his mom says they think he's perfect the way he is. In the newsroom, Denise Tador, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Get ready for a change in our weather. Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has his complete forecast up next.
Plus, an 18-year-old competing in his first steeplechase race walks away after a spectacular fall.
And meet a second-chance dog with a new family and new legs. Injured golden eagle is recovering at a Northern California Wildlife Rehabilitation Hospital after being discovered by firefighters. The 11-pound eagle was found outside Walnut Creek Fire Station last Friday. Officials say the young eagle had head trauma and possibly a toxic condition that comes from eating small mammals that have ingested rodent poison. Eagle will stay at the hospital for at least 30 days to confirm that she is healthy and able to catch her own prey before being released back into the wild.
Cute.
Jonathan Novak joins us right now to talk about our weather. Boy, it's going to be hot.
Hot and dry.
Dry.
Although we have a slim chance of rain, really dry. We talked about the drought earlier. We're going to look again at some of those graphics because, I mean, it's just been unreal how bad it is. We are at 5% of the snowpack for the state of California of average. I mean, that is just abysmal. Let's look at that live Mega Doppler 7000 AC. We'll start there. And, you know, nothing going on right now in terms of the rain. We might put some green on that screen come Tuesday. All right, Tuesday. That would be the day we maybe have a chance of rain. But in the meantime, dry, dry, dry. That exceptional drought, that maroon color there, that's about 40% of the state or so that is in an exceptional drought. What does that mean? That is the worst level, according to the U.S. Drought Report, U.S. Drought Monitor that puts out this information. That is the worst you can have, okay? And you can see here Southern California mostly in that exceptional drought or extreme, the next level down, drought category. All right, so we're trying to add a little bit of rain in there for the Tuesday time frame. Otherwise, it's going to be like this. Sunny for tomorrow. Sunny right now. This is actually a time lapse from LAX where it is 63 degrees right now. The breezes, well, they were kicking up. Calm down a little bit. We'll have some winds tomorrow again. It won't be terribly windy, but there'll be Santa Ana winds. They'll be coming out of the northeast. And when that happens, you know, the wind comes down the slopes and the air compresses, and then that warms it up, and we'll have a warm day on Friday. Tonight, a nice, mild, comfortable evening ahead. 67 in Santa Ana. Good evening to you. Santa Clarita still in the 70s there. 62 in Oxnard. 64 Santa Barbara, where it is still windy, and you guys had some gusts actually not too long ago there. Hopefully tonight, though, we'll try to calm them down a little bit for you. But the high pressure area for tomorrow will mean some breezes. We're going to keep it, it looks like, below that advisory level for the wind speeds. But nevertheless, that Santa Ana wind coming around this area, high pressure, it's pretty weak actually right here. That's going to warm us up to the mid to upper 80s for high temperatures tomorrow. Check this out, about 86 in Los Angeles. Today we were at 75, so a quick jump just like that into the mid to upper 80s. Near 90 in the IE, 75 up in the Antelope Valley. The mountains, Big Bear, 57. And then Palm Springs will get real close to 90 degrees tomorrow. We might hit some 90s, but lower 90s, right around 90 or so, but we're not going to break any records. So this isn't going to be like last week where we had 91 breaking some records. 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. Notice Saturday an 8-degree drop and then another drop on Sunday. So this warm-up is short-lived. Easter Bunny there, happy about the 72, which is pretty average for your Easter Sunday. Now look at this, Monday and Tuesday, we cool off again, even more, into the upper 60s and bring a slight chance of a couple of showers on Tuesday. 20%, but it's something, and some cloud cover too. Valley's IE, a hot one tomorrow, a little breezy, and then nice and pleasant for Easter Sunday, and then a slight chance of rain on Tuesday with temperatures dipping into the 60s. The beach, some morning fog starting on Easter Sunday on, with a slim risk here on Tuesday, but for tomorrow, 83 at the coast. That's pretty warm. And the mountains are going to be in the 50s for the next 2 days. Winds kicking up there as well. Look at that. You have a slight chance of a snow shower on Tuesday. Only 20%. We'll keep the high desert dry throughout the forecast. And Easter weekend looking like a nice, mild one for you guys. More weather coming up at 11 o'clock tonight on ABC7. Back to you guys.
See you then, Jonathan. Thank you. Indianapolis is hosting the Final Four. And today, NCAA President Mark Emmert said he is very pleased with the revisions to Indiana's controversial religious freedom law. Critics feared the law would lead to discrimination against the LGBT community. In the meantime, Kentucky needs just 2 more wins to become the first team to ever win the NCAA championship with a perfect 40-0 record. Many of his players stay for just 1 season and go to the NBA and sign lucrative contracts. The Wildcats head coach has no problem with that.
20 years ago, NBA contracts were $125,000. Now, if you're a top 10 pick, it's $25 million. Your next contract may be $80 million. That's $100 million. It's different. We have to respect that.
Calipari begins the recruiting process extremely early. Yes, newborns at the University of Kentucky Hospital are each fitted with onesies and team's colors. And check out what Kentucky fan Andrew Summer has attached to his rear window wiper blade. It's called the Wiper Dunk. And our advice to Andrew is there's a show on ABC on Friday nights called Shark Tank. And Saturday afternoon in Arcadia, Dortmund is the 3-5 favorite to win the prestigious Santa Anita Derby. The Kentucky Derby contender is trained by Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. If Dortmund was a basketball player, he'd be a center or a power forward.
He's almost 17 hands, by one of the tallest horses I've had. And he has a big, long stride, big horse, but he's not a real heavy horse. But he's one of these horses that once he gets in his groove, his big, long stride, he sort of, that's his edge. He sort of wears out the competition.
And across the pond, steeplechase race in Wincanton, England, jockey Lewis Ferguson's first ride over fences ends badly. He is unseated before the jump and then turned a full somersault after hitting the top of the bushes. But the 18-year-old got up and walked away from the fall. The horse also was uninjured. It's because he's 18 years old. Ferguson said he had a bit of a sore head, but on the whole was absolutely fine.
As we all know, there are so many pets in need of rescuing. Well, tonight we meet a dog named Brutus who has a new family and new legs. Here's ABC's Steve Onsensami.
Boy, good boy.
Every dog has its day, and this is Brutus's, only the second dog in history to get a new chance at life with the help of 4 prosthetic limbs.
Usually it takes them a little bit just to get used to being back in them. Come on, let's get up.
Laura Aquilina is adopting him, saying she loves him to pieces. The 2-year-old Rottweiler was rescued from a heartless backyard breeder who allowed Frostbite to claim his paws.
We're just happy that we can actually give him the opportunity to run and be a dog and not just confined to a single room in a house.
Volunteers got friends on social media to rally, raising more than $12,000 for surgery and to hire the contractor who specializes in animal prosthetics.
Our basic concept is if dogs are built with 4 legs, let's make sure they have 4 legs.
Yeah.
So someday soon, he might be able to take long walks or fetch a ball. And all it took was a little goodness from everyday people. Steve Onsensami, ABC News, New York.
I love that story.
Yeah, so sweet.
More news straight ahead here at 7:30.
And ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, we'll have more on our breaking news story, a missing toddler in Gardena. A massive search is underway for the little girl who walked away from a car wash. Plus, crooks trash a bicycle store and make off with a bunch of bikes. Of these stories and all the late breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Easter is just around the corner, and thanks to some volunteers, the kids at Children's Hospital Los Angeles are not being left out.
How are you doing?
You want to just dump it out?
Yeah.
A team of volunteers from Wells Fargo Bank delivered 500 Easter baskets today. Little Max says, thumbs up on the toys. This is the 4th year Wells Fargo has been doing this, and they begin raising money and collecting toys right after Christmas. Each basket is different, put together by the volunteers.
An Easter fun today for families in East Los Angeles. More than 500 kids received baskets filled with toys and school supplies. They also met the Easter Bunny. Today's event was put on by the East LA Community Corporation, the LA County Federation of Labor, and other labor groups in the area.
Well, thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order Ask for You is next here in LA56.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com.
Remember, you can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and by downloading our ABC7 app. We'll see you tomorrow night right here at 7 o'clock in LA56. Have a great time.
Good night.
This is ABC7 weather.
It wasn't me.
This is ABC.